Hi there. So today I wanted to get to the root of what emotions are. The name says it all. E for energy, motion for, well, motion. Pretty simple. Since the trend that I have noticed recently is that when we talk about our feelings, we tend to talk about our stories of what is happening to us instead of the actual feelings we're feeling. It seems to me like many of us have lost touch with what emotion is. It is that energy that we feel in our bodies. Perhaps many of us are not even registering our emotions, meaning we're not giving those sensations inside us any attention at all. When we do, we sometimes experience them as pleasant and we sometimes experience them as very uncomfortable. And because there are so many ways to shut them off from our awareness, like drinking, drugging, distracting ourselves with our phones, or simply stuffing them down deeper inside of us, it's my opinion that stuffing them down is what causes all of our physical ailments, because the law of emotion is that they are to stay in motion. They are there to be felt and then expressed. They are meant to move through us. When we start giving them our attention, we do become aware that they move in and move out, making way for a different emotion. I often use yet another river analogy to describe how they're meant to be experienced. Rivers flow through many shifting landscapes on their way from their source to the sea. They travel through beautiful valleys, through rundown neighborhoods, through pastoral landscapes, by factories that are spitting out toxic fumes. All that is part of the emotional experience that we are meant to have. One thing that I've discovered as I have increasingly allowed myself to feel my feelings is that when I give all of my attention to these sensations and none of my attention to the stories I attach to them, they are all experienced as a blessing. What do I mean? I mean that they are the most pertinent evidence I have that I am not a rock or some other inanimate object. I am alive, and my emotions are clear proof of this. When I give them my full attention, especially the ones that I previously considered uncomfortable and unpleasant, I experience them as a blessing rather than as a curse, and they no longer feel unpleasant. Imagine if your attitude towards all your emotions was that they are life-affirming. They wouldn't be such a nuisance then, right? And that is something you have within your wheelhouse to accomplish. The irony is that when we train ourselves to stuff them down, that's when they become chronic. Feeling sad becomes chronic depression. Feeling anger becomes a permanent resentment. It's all very counterintuitive, perhaps, but it does appear to work this way, in my experience anyways. Add to that the health problems that come from holding them in, and it's literally a no-brainer. Feeling my feelings has become one of my favorite practices of late. It holds hands with the thought vigilance as I have learned to get out of my head and into my heart. I always quiet my mind of thoughts when I do this. I am no longer judging the feelings I'm having as good ones or bad ones. Now they're just the feelings that are present in me, which instantly shifts my attitude towards them to one of neutrality and curiosity. Our minds are often so busy trying to interpret the meaning of them, or more precisely the cause of them, but the truth is, our minds don't know. Feelings are not the vocation of the mind, they're the vocation of the heart. That is why, for instance, we are never angry for the reason we think, as A Course in Miracles tells us. The mind thinks that it's something about the meaning of the situation unfolding in the external world that is the cause of the emotions, but I've come to learn that the situation that is unfolding is actually the effect of our emotions. It's the projection of the mind's interpretation of the emotions rather than their cause. If I allow myself to be present with the emotion itself, it flows into something else as it is meant to do. I begin to really appreciate that I have the capacity to feel so many of them throughout the day. And when I'm in some turbulent rapids on the river, there's no reason anymore that I'll get snagged on some dead tree or something and remain in that energy. I am literally in the flow, and all I have to do is give this energy inside of me my full attention. Thank you for listening today, and if you want to support me, you can find me on Substack at natekokernot, or at miraclereadiness.com is my website. And also don't forget to tickle the algorithm. Hit like and subscribe. Thank you again.